Baker Mayfield. He reminds me of a shorter version of Brett Favre. He can throw it. He's very confident. He's not afraid whatsoever.
Another guy that isn't getting nearly as much attention as I believe he should be is Florida international receiver T.Y. Hilton. 6 returns over his career, combining kick and punt returns for touchdowns.
He has the mindset, and he has the intelligence, and he understands the offense to a T. Kirk's our quarterback. We could have done a deal right then and got it for long term and been a slam dunk.
Sam is a good football player. The problem is he's not a great football player, and that's so we're bringing so much attention to a guy that, frankly, is a day 3 prospect.
And now, the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, featuring 2-time NFL General Manager Scot McCloughan and NFLDraftScout.com Senior Analyst Rob Rang.
Hi, and welcome to the Instinctive Scouting Podcast, starring 2-time NFL General Manager Scot McCloughan and myself, Rob Rang, Senior Analyst for NFLDraftScout.com. Following our position-by-position look at the top players all over the gridiron, we'll focus this week on the so-called big uglies along the offensive line, the underrated blockers helping some of the most successful teams in the NFL and college football enjoy their success. And then, while many NFL fans, Scott, are gearing up for a playoff run, we're going to take a closer look at the Arizona Cardinals, Oakland Raiders, New York Jets, San Francisco 49ers, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. Why? Because those are the teams that are currently projected to pick in the top 5 in the 2019 NFL Draft. But before we get into those conversations, let's start off with another team, a team that's had a lot more success than those franchises in recent years, the New England Patriots, who have appeared uncharacteristically vulnerable the past few weeks. So let me ask you this, Scott. Has Father Time caught up with Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and the rest of the Patriots, in your opinion?
Well, the thing about it is, I mean, of course, it always does at some point. The thing with Brady, he's still a really good player. You know what? And he plays the biggest when he needs to play the biggest. The thing with Gronkowski is the fact that he's had injuries now, a lot of injuries.
Yeah.
Coming out of Arizona, he had a bad back.
Yep.
Has now had 2 surgeries, at least 2 surgeries, maybe 3 surgeries on the back. That catches up to you, especially when you're a big body guy and you try to survive, getting down the field. It's tough, but they're still a really good team. They're going to be in the playoffs, as always. I would never count Tom Brady out, ever. Yeah. Gronk, I could see that he's not the same guy just because of the injuries. But with Brady and with Belichick, that's still going to be a tough team to play. You don't want to play them. Let me say that in the playoffs.
Well, and that's exactly how I feel. I think there's a lot of people right now who are kind of, jumping on the grave, so to speak, of the New England Patriots. But those are a lot of people talking who are not likely to have to face the New England Patriots in the playoffs. I mean, I think that I think you said it well, Scott. I mean, Tom Brady, until he officially retires, and I mean retires and is out of the league for a year or two, then yeah, I'm never going to question Tom Brady. We've just seen it happen too many times. But Rob Gronkowski, I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head going back to his college days, those couple of surgeries. I do remember all the back injuries that he had at Arizona. The Pac-12 is a conference that I pay a lot of attention to. And obviously he wound up still going in the first round, still being the high pick that was expected for a player of his incredible talent. But at the same time, he does appear to be a different player here at this stage in his career. Now, I wouldn't put it past him to have a little bit of a resurgence here as the stakes raise a little bit. But at the same time, I also believe that the Patriot, part of their success is the fact that the Patriots have played in that AFC East division, and frankly, there just hasn't been a formidable second team to step up. Whether it be the Jets, the Bills, or the Dolphins all these years, the Patriots just being able to run away with it. But I do think that the rest of the AFC, maybe not the AFC East, but the rest of the AFC appears to be catching up with them.
Oh, no doubt about it. And that happens. It's cyclical. And they've had a great run, and who knows if it's over or not. But there's other teams in the AFC that are really good, and You know, you don't play them either. But the thing that's cool, the thing that's good about New England is the fact they've been there, done it, they felt it, the coaches, the players, you know, and it's not something new to them. It's like, wow, we're going to the AFC Championship game. Nah, they could care less. They see it as every Sunday. You know, we're just having another game. That's what we do. We're used to this stuff, which there's a lot to be said to that. Because when I was in Green Bay, you know, we couldn't get past the Cowboys. We could not get past them. And all of a sudden, the second year they beat us, the third year they beat us, and all of a sudden we're like, now we've been there. This is not a big show. It's just football. It's just a game.
Yep.
Go out and just be yourself, you know, because the media makes so much out of it, you know, and they want to, you know, all I talk about the whole week is this game, this game, this game, you know, and players hear that stuff. You know, they might say they don't, but they do.
Yeah.
But with New England, they're like, are you kidding me? We've been here. I think they got a chance to win the 10th East Championship in 10 years in a row.
Wow.
You know? Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, that's the vision, you know, and not knocking the other teams whatsoever.
Yeah.
But just they've been there, done it. And that's huge because, you know, you get on your charter, you get on the bus, you go to the team hotel, you know, if you're on the road, and then there's 50 cameras sitting out there. They all want to talk to everybody and want to know, what do you think about this, what do you think about that? But guys that have been there, they don't care about that. Guys that haven't been there are like, ooh, this is cool. This is really great. Look at this. I get attention. You know, yeah. And that's what Belichick's got rolling there, and especially with Brady, because Brady's the leader, the team leader, and Brady controls the show. You know, he tells them what to do, what not to do. He tells them everything, and that's why they've been so good for so long. You know, besides talent, of course.
Yeah, exactly, and that's one of the reasons that I think that the Patriots are falling off is because they have struggled a little bit to be able to replenish that talent. Obviously, when you've had the success that the Patriots have had, you know, then teams out there are going to be just lining up to try and pilfer your roster. You know, and we saw an example of that here this past year, where the New York Giants awarded Nate Solder, the left tackle, the biggest contract ever given to an NFL offensive lineman. And while I would argue that the Patriots offensive line has held up reasonably well, I do think that that's one of the reasons why New England has kind of fallen off a little bit more, is that Tom Brady is getting a little bit more pressure in his face. We're seeing him, you know, throw the ball off of his back foot when he's getting hurried, the same type of mistakes that we see from some younger quarterbacks. And I would argue that those younger quarterbacks, some of the reasons why they're making those mistakes is because they're young. Tom Brady obviously is not getting younger, but if you're getting hit more, kind of like Rob Gronkowski breaking down, it's just no one wins the battle against time. And that's what it feels like is happening here with the Patriots. And to me, that's kind of a segue into what I really wanted to focus in on, because, you know, the Patriots are really one of the you know, the things that one of the teams that everybody else is trying to model themselves after, and having the Patriot way, winning the division, as you said, basically 10 years in a row, which is remarkable. But I also think it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, where the Patriots have invested their draft picks. They have invested some early picks as well as a great deal of late round success along the offensive line. And that's where I want to kind of turn us towards, you know, moving forward. And so the first thing I would say is just that it was announced today, Tuesday, December 18th, that the Joe Moore Award, which is one of my favorite awards, Scott, because it highlights a group of players and offensive linemen, which I think don't get enough attention. But the Joe Moore Award this year as the best blocking unit, best offensive lineman in all of college football, was awarded to the University of Oklahoma. And, of course, you know that group so well, having scouted them so much a year ago as we were scouting Baker Mayfield and the rest of the Sooners that went to the draft, and then Kyler Murray this year. Can you just talk about, the Joe Moore Award and just what do you feel about the Oklahoma offensive line as a whole, and maybe some of the other offensive lines that you saw in college football this year that impressed you?
Well, the thing about it is what's really, first of all, as a personnel guy and as an evaluator, you especially as a GM, you always concentrate on O-line, D-line. To have a good offensive line, and the reason why they're in the Final Four for the playoffs is because of it. Now don't get me wrong, the quarterbacks played well, very well, and they got receivers and they got a running back, but the best back got hurt. But the O-line is so important from the standpoint of controlling the line of scrimmage. Running the ball, throwing the ball, it doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter if you're 3 and out the first series. It matters 4 quarters. And if you can manhandle them, and the thing that Oklahoma does really good, and all the teams are in the Final Four and in the bowl games, good coaching, good technique, but you got to understand it's not the individual, it's the sum of the parts. It's the 5 guys in the 6th guy with the tight end if he's in line that you have to have, and if you have that and you have success with running the ball and throwing the ball, you're going to win more than you lose no matter what. I've been a proponent of that my entire career, not just being an area scout, but being a GM, the whole package. I've been a proponent no matter what. That's how you build your team, offense and defensive line. And Oklahoma's done a really good job, and that's why they've had success. It's the same thing as Alabama. I think they got a really good offensive line, really good. And they got young guys, they got older guys. But, you can bring in all the talent you want to bring in, but you also have to be able to teach them.
Yep.
And it's so important, the techniques they have to use, hand use, placing the hands here, placing the hand there. We want to get them outside, we're going to throw our left hand on his right shoulder. Or, we're going to run inside, you got to put your right hand on his hip. And that's just coaching. Yeah. Because these players are really talented, as you're well aware, all over the country. But it's the little things that matter, and that's from coaching, and that's from having people that will know. Listen, this organization or this university, either or, knows that they've been successful for a reason. I was the best player in high school, hands down, on my team. But you walk in Oklahoma, you walk into Alabama, you walk into LSU. You're not the best player. But when you learn and understand how important technique is for O-line, I've been lucky to draft some good players, and they're all about sponges. They just want to hear information and learn. I was very lucky in Washington to be with, Bill Callahan.
Yeah.
And you talk about an excellent O-line coach. And yeah, I never forget when I took my first job with San Fran. Ron Wolf told me, he said the most important hire is the head coach, of course. Then he said the coordinators, but then the O-line coach.
Interesting.
Yeah, very interesting, because I never thought about it.
Yeah.
He says that's so important. That's so important for the O-line coach to be a teacher, and teach technique. And get them to be all on the same page, because there's 5 guys working together. 5 guys working together. It's not about one guy; it's about 5 guys. And that surprised me when you said that to me. But it's the truth. I learned it as I went along.
No, it's an excellent point. I've had my opportunities, whether it be here in Seattle or, walking along the sidelines at college games, NFL games. And because I'm built the way I am, and that was the offensive and defensive lines is where I played, and the little bit I played in high school ball, and that's where I coached when I coached there as well. That's always been my interest, is along the line of scrimmage, especially with offensive linemen. And I think you're absolutely right when you cited Bill Callahan and you talked about how Ron Wolf told you that to find an offensive line coach is one of the top priorities. I agree. I mean, walking around, I've heard so many offensive line coaches who I would just characterize as yellers. They're just going to yell and scream and try and get people excited, but they're not really coaching. They're not really saying, I want, your second step has to be here. Your right